terrible day where I just told them all right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to. Thanks, Betty. Very excited for CGSchmidt's presentation today, and we also have a very special guest in Eric Schmidt, who I'll let him introduce himself. But he's actually going to talk a little bit about CGSchmidt's storied history. And I don't want to give too much away, but obviously being a part of the east side of Milwaukee, like East Castle Place, Milwaukee Protestant Home has been for nearly 140 years at this point. I think CGSchmidt is trying to rival us. I don't know if they'll ever catch us. But I think they've made a pretty big impact on the east side and Milwaukee in general, of course, across Wisconsin as well. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Eric and the CGSchmidt team, and we'll take it from there. So enjoy.
Yeah. Everybody hear me okay? I hope so. So thank you very much. It's exciting to be here. We want to touch base a little bit about the history of CGSchmidt and where we came from. So we were founded in 1920 by my great-grandfather, who immigrated here from Holland. So we are chasing you, but we're only at 102 years. That number's wrong. We'll have to work on our math skills a little bit, but it's been 102 years since 1920.
I got it from Jerome.
Did it?
Yeah.
And we actually started as Chaz Schmidt and Sons. And then over the course of the next 16 years, my grandfather started running the company. He incorporated it in 1946 and called it CGSchmidt Incorporated. And CG stands for Charles George, which was, of course, my grandfather's name. I don't think he was a very creative man, but it stuck in his head. That's when he chose to name the company. Over the course of the next 80-some-odd years, we've grown to be one of the largest contractors in the nation, one of the top 300 contractors in the nation. We're probably the 6th or 7th largest contractor in Wisconsin, and we currently do work right now in a little over 6 different states. So we've come a long way from my great-grandfather, who started pouring concrete sidewalks, replacing wood and brick sidewalks. And that got to be such a good business for him that he quit his very lucrative career as a maintenance person at the Schlitz Brewery. So he went off on his own, and that's how we got our very humble beginnings. Along the way also, we've become a company of a lot of firsts. On the previous slide, you saw that we were the first company that's ever used a tower crane in Wisconsin. We're the first company that mandated the use of hard hats. And we do a lot of firsts in terms of safety, because one of our original safety directors was Harvey Peterson, who came from the Army Corps of Engineers. And he brought with him a lot of the safety lessons that he learned through the Corps and applied them to construction in southeast Wisconsin. And as we continue to grow and as things continue to modernize, we're also one of the first to start utilizing robotics in construction. So it's kind of interesting. Oftentimes people think that construction is a very mature business and very slow to innovate. And in the past 10 years, as we've seen, additional labor shortages, and we have to find creative solutions. And as our labor force is growing older, we're turning to technology. So you're starting to see robots entering the workplace. We have exoskeletons that are being practiced for some of our tradespeople to help with their movement, to assist them in lifting things. It's particularly important when they're doing repetitive tasks that it helps to control their joints to avoid strains and sprains. So this once kind of storied, very old profession is really starting to innovate with new technologies, mostly in the interest of productivity and trying to extend and protect our people out in the field. And I think people is probably the best asset that we possibly could have. And one of the things that we're most proud of is we've won Best Places to Work 11 years in a row. What makes it even more important for us is that they've only had the award for the last 11 years. So every year that they've had the award, we've won it. It's something that our employees have to submit a survey for. Despite my best efforts, I can't answer it for them. They have to answer honestly on their own. And we won in the extra large category. So that's with employees over 200 employees, companies that have over 200 employees. And we won it again just recently as well. So this is, I think, year 12 that we've won it, 12 out of 12. And then one of our biggest passions and a mission of the company is to create exceptional facilities that improve the lives of others. And the reason that we chose that particular mission is because we feel that building is what we do, but there needs to be something more in terms of giving back to the community, improving the places where we work and serve and worship and live. we can do more than just simply build a building. That's why we've got such a great commitment to the communities. We encourage all of our employees to donate their time, to be philanthropic as they can. We pay them to go and volunteer their time as well to encourage participation. And we encourage them to take volunteer activities wherever we're building. So currently we're building, I think we're in like 12 or 14 different cities around Wisconsin. Every project team is tasked with finding an opportunity in those communities and volunteering their time. Because we really believe that it's our important mission to give back to the communities that we serve. But we do build. So here's an example. The building keeps our lights on. Probably one of the largest buildings, it's not the largest, the second largest building in Milwaukee, Northwestern Mutual Tower. That's one of the projects that we completed a couple of years ago. I think what's important on that one is that we employed a lot of underutilized people on that project. The city had a goal of approximately, I think it was 40% underutilized residents on the project. We achieved that goal and exceeded it to 48%. And what's interesting is that's the first developer-driven project that's ever achieved or exceeded that goal. A lot of the other people said it's too hard, we can't get there. We rolled up our sleeves and got it done. That project team was pretty phenomenal. The other one is the Spectrum office building in Madison, Wisconsin. Does anybody know what Spectrum makes? Okay, they make like 14 different things. So if you ever heard of Rayovac batteries, Black & Decker, that's all under the Spectrum umbrella, and they've got 14 other companies as well. Healthcare, that's probably one of our largest units, or historically has been. Here's an example of 84 South, an operating room. I think some of you are probably familiar with one of the largest healthcare projects we've ever done. That's the Columbia St. Mary's redevelopment. We're part of that particular project. We touched every building on that entire campus, from the water tower to the office building, to the hospital itself, the parking decks, Prospect Medical Commons across the street, just about every building we've touched. And we're also heavily involved in science and technology as well in our industrial group. I think the image on the right is A.O. Smith's. Is that at A.O. Smith? Their headquarters over by our office building in Park Place. I'm not certain what the one on the left is. The one on the left is an impressive looking building that I don't know what it is. But we did it. I'm pretty sure we did it. Thanks. And also higher education, that's another big component of what we do. So we've worked on Marquette's campus, Carroll College's campus, Cardinal Stritch, Concordia University, MSOE, UW Milwaukee, UW Madison. Higher education is also a big component of what we do as well. And then we have another group that's basically called community. So these are all of the projects that are funded and or are a part of the community landscape. So this particular example, hopefully you've all seen the Milwaukee Art Museum. That was one that we did it's hard to believe it's 20 years ago already. The Milwaukee Public Market, the Milwaukee Public Museum, the Milwaukee Zoo, the Racine Zoo, the Henry Powell Zoo in Madison, all those exhibits. We've done quite a bit of work at those particular facilities. And religious. So the building on the left is St. Paul's Center. It's a student center in the heart of UW Madison. That was completed, I think, about 6 years ago. And then the building on the right is Marquette University High School. That's on 35th in Wisconsin. That's my alma mater. I think they felt bad about all the grades they gave me, so they awarded some work for us to compensate. And K-12 education. So this is probably our largest group that does K-12, which is elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, all over the state. So in this particular example, K-12 has historically made about 35% of the revenue of the company. And the image on the left is of Baraboo High School. And the image on the right is another really pretty school that I don't know the name of, but I'm pretty sure we did that one too. So, and with that, I'll leave it up to if anybody has any questions about our firm or what we've been doing.
Any robots here?
Not yet. Not yet. Where we use a lot of robots is where it's a very tricky environment, like during demolition. If we're on elevated decks up in the air, it's better to send in the robot, because if the robot falls, you just buy another one. If something were to happen and somebody were to be hurt, that's not something we can replace. So that's primarily where we're seeing a lot of use of the robots, is in those types of very challenging, harmful environments. Oh, X-ray scanning. Carla wants me to talk about X-ray scanning. And basically what that is it scans the floors or the walls to see what's in them before we cut them, because we've gotten a lot of practice of cutting into things and not knowing what was there and then shutting down a building, which if anybody's ever been in a hospital, you know that's like a really big no-no. So instead we said, well, there's probably a better way to do this, and that's where we adapted some of that X-ray technology to actually scan the floors and the walls before we start cutting into them and tearing them down so that we know what's in there. And if there's something in there that's not supposed to be there, then that tells us we have to find out what it is before we just start tearing things apart and cutting into things. Anything else you want me to talk about? That's it. Despite my role as president of the company, I'm really a servant of the employees, as Carla is reminding me just about every day. So. All right, with that, Pete.
Well, thank you for having me back. I think almost the same group last week, or last month. We did this a month ago. So we're going to do a project update. We're going to talk about what's happening here at Bradford Terrace, at the Commons, and talking a little bit about the water tower start, which we haven't started yet. So let's start with Bradford Terrace. If you've walked through, you've noticed a lot's happening. We are really excited that we're going to be starting third floor of Bradford Terrace Monday. So we're going to have some action up there. We're going to be replacing carpet, painting some walls. So that's going to take place over the next couple weeks. So that's going to be the biggest change, and obviously you'll get to see that work if you're on third floor. Construction update. Hopefully everyone's noticed our little windows going down the corridor. I see some smiling faces. So we appreciate having the ability to show you day by day how much is changing inside the Commons area. Today was the first day of what they call the soffits. That's kind of this drywall area where the wall meets the ceiling. We're starting those. They started today. So that's going to be a lot of steel that's going to be popping up in there. So you're going to see a lot of changes inside those windows. And here's some pictures of what's going on if you hadn't looked in the windows. Here's a nice update of, we all remember the front desk we all walked up to. The top is missing in this photo, and the desk is completely gone. We're getting a new one. So the desk is no longer, and we're excited to be bringing a new one in. Basement demo. I don't know how many of you visit the basement a whole lot of Bradford Terrace, but we have since removed the old salon flooring, and we've removed the old laundry room. We're going to be replacing the flooring, fresh paint, giving it a facelift, and it's going to look like an entirely different area down there. We're currently doing the hallway in front of the salon, and next week we're going to start seeing some fresh paint down there and some new finishes down there. Courtyard demo. I remember last time we talked about who had the best seating. Does anybody in here have a balcony facing the courtyard? So you get the best seating, best view of the courtyard. Do you?
I have the best.
You have a good seat too. Excellent. There is a lot going on in there, isn't there? That little skid loader barely fits down that narrow little passage. I'm sure you've all watched him trying to squeeze through there. So in the picture right here, you can kind of see how much dirt's piled up after that retaining wall was brought back. And I know we were just talking about how bigger it feels in there. This is a current picture before the rain this morning of how big that looks because all that dirt's been removed. So that wall's going to get pushed back and give you more space at the bottom. Which brings up a really fun quiz time. So we've got a quiz for you. Today's question is going to be, how many dump truck loads do you think were taken out of the courtyard so far? So I'm looking for some participation. Does anybody have a guess? I know some you were watching. What would you guess? How many dump truck loads? 100? 100 is our first guess. Does anybody else have a guess, higher or lower?
650.
650? I don't know how fast he was driving. We're going to put you at 650 and 100. Do we have any other guesses?
We have the building demo with
How
that.
about 42?
42. Okay, so we're at 42, 100, and 600. Any other guesses?
We'll take 200.
200. Okay.
Oh no, this didn't update.
80. So we have 80 quad axle loads of dump trucks have been hauled out of there so far. which if you think of how much they can get in each bucket and how many bucket loads that was back and forth through that little, that's quite a bit of material. So it's definitely going to be a big change back there. And this graphic really illustrates how much 80 dump trucks looks like if you put them on a page.
Where did it go?
It went to it's filling up a hole south of here. I believe the hole used to be either a gravel pit. I think it was a gravel pit, and they're reusing that space. So they're looking for fill, which is what we have extra dirt. They need dirt, so they're trucking it there, and they're going to utilize it. I think they're going to make it into a housing community. So they have a hole they need to fill up, basically. So another good comment. I think this was a question that came to us through one of the residents here. Is what's the difference between the wood framing in the Commons, steel framing in Bradford Terrace? So we are using different materials in different areas, and actually in the Commons you're going to see the soffits, which are these areas here, are going to be framed. The structure that holds the drywall up is going to be steel, but the walls are wood. And the reason we are utilizing different materials is the Commons is a residential area, and the Bradford Terrace is a healthcare rated units. And because of that, we are building it with a little bit more costly materials. But we want to make sure that they last longer if there would be a fire. So the wood structures are more cost effective, and that's why they're being utilized in this area over here. Do you have any questions?
If you go back a couple of slides.
Sure.
Now,
Keep going.
oh, you were just on it.
This one.
No, the one that had
The truck.
The
all
truck.
the trucks.
All the trucks.
What-
All the trucks.
Yeah.
All the trucks.
Now, I came up with 88 instead of 80.
This is our intern. Let me introduce you to Olivia, our intern. She made the slide, so I can tell you I didn't count them. I'm trusting that she did.
Yes.
There are 11. I hated 11.
That is a really quick eye. I can
She's
appreciate that.
she's going to MSOE, so if you are an alumni there, you might want your money back.
They didn't teach me how to count dump trucks.
That's outstanding.
That is outstanding. I have to agree.
She messed up our years in business.
I can appreciate your quick eye on that.
We're gonna keep her out of estimating.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it too late to pull the contract?
We'll correct our count. Anyone else have any questions?
Are you on schedule?
We are on schedule in the Commons. We are on schedule in the courtyard. We are going to make up a little bit of schedule in Bradford Terrace because we were off to a little bumpy start. But we have a increase in manpower, so we're bringing in additional people in the same trades we have. So we're actually having twice as many plumbers as we had earlier, and we have added a third more electricians than we started with. So again, we want to really preserve your peace and quiet. So we don't want to start too early. We don't want to stick around too late so that you can enjoy your space without us pounding. So we're going to step up our manpower instead of increasing our hours so that you still have that quiet time. And I know some of you guys walk your dogs in the morning and don't want to walk past our loud traffic and everything. So we want to respect that. But we're really excited to make that up. We're in a really exciting spot in Bradford Terrace, the only place we're a little behind, where we're just about ready to start drywalling. It's going to be really exciting to have videos. I want to do the virtual tour. I know most of you saw the virtual tour I did for you. I'm excited to make another one of those, and I think Tyler distributed that and put it on the network here. So as soon as we can get some drywall, I'm really excited to show you kind of what that's going to start to look like, those residential spots will look like. Again, we'll probably make a video before next time showing the before and after of third floor on Bradford Terrace, a little bit of what that basement area of Bradford Terrace is going to look like, because that'll really look a lot different if you remember what that hallway outside the salon looked like. It's going to look a little bit more modern. So pretty excited about that. Any other questions?
It's not a question, but it's just amazing how you have not clogged everything up with trucks and parking and so forth. It's really been.
Well, I appreciate you noticing. We were talking about innovation and technology. Something that we've done on this project that I've utilized something similar but never like it. I don't know how many of you are familiar with a QR code. You can pick up any device, put your camera on it, it automatically takes you to a website. We're utilizing a QR code for all of our deliveries, and it takes the person who takes that picture to a website that has scheduling software on it. And so there's a computer scheduling all of our deliveries and our dump trucks, and then we've worked with your kitchen staff and we plugged in their delivery, the Cisco, the food, and the dumpsters for Tyler, and then we've put in the linens and some other deliveries that you get into that schedule. And by utilizing that, we realized when we first arrived here that that's a very small alley, and then we threw dump trucks in there and backhoes and skid loaders, and Tyler still has to take his trash out, and I have a lot of trash right now. So there's a lot of traffic back there, and we do appreciate that. We've noticed that you guys aren't utilizing that quite as much for pedestrian traffic when we're here, and that helps us out because there's a lot of vehicles that need to come and go to support obviously your community, but to support us as construction workers. And our main objective was to make sure that we didn't have a lot of pedestrian traffic interference back there, so that it wasn't a lot of hazard. And we appreciate your participation in that. And on our side, we're going to really minimize any traffic, foot traffic, any material in the corridors. So again, we're bringing everything. I think last month we talked about how everything's coming from the outside into the building. We're not taking it through the hallways. We're not using your elevators. We're utilizing the outdoor patios. We're flying everything in with the machine, so it's not in the corridors with you. And we're going to continue that. Go ahead.
I just have to compliment you on how neat a group of us were talking last night, how neat you are when you're done.
Well, it's your home. We want to respect your home, and we appreciate you noticing that. And I value your home, and I appreciate you letting me be part of it. So thank you. Anybody have anything else?
Anybody want to criticize them? Now's the time.
When you hear of so many businesses having trouble finding employees, how are you doing with labor?
Well, I have two sons, and I told them they had to come work here. So I brought my whole family to Eric's family and said, you guys are all gonna, because I saw the shortage, so I was like, well, you guys have, no, I didn't do that. They actually wanted to work here. I think I believe I told you guys last time that, so I had the opportunity to watch, so I've been here almost 16 years. My boys grew up watching me come to work, come home and talk about the enthusiasm I have for building the skyline of Milwaukee and being part of projects like this. And they saw how excited I was, and that's why they wanted to be part of it. My son has asked some of his friends that he went to high school with, some of which they actually went to college and didn't find a direction. And they're looking for a career path that can support their future family and something that they can take pride in and seeing an item be created from their hard work, and a visual and physical item. And I think there still is a good group of young adults that feel strongly that's something they want to do. The trades as they stand, I think we've got a great group of mature tradespeople that are excited to see young people come into the trades so that they can mentor the younger adults to take the place as they age out. And I think that's been really exciting. I've been doing this my entire adult life now, and it's really exciting to see the younger people come into the trades. There is a little bit of a shortage. I mean, we won't lie to you about that.
I think we're taking really a multi-pronged approach. The average age in the trades, I think, is in their 50s. So there's a lot of people that are retiring, and you need the influx of new people to help with the pension plans and things of that nature. So on one aspect of it, we're extending careers by doing a lot of prefabrication. I think the hardest part on a construction worker's body is their elbows and their knees and their back from bending and just being in really weird positions all day. When you prefab, which is basically creating an assembly off-site and shipping it here to where it's basically put into place, right? When you prefab, you can actually put everything at a decent height so they're not bent over, they're not straining their arms, they're not hurting their back. And that's allowing some of the older people to extend their careers. The second thing we're doing, like Pete alluded to, is we do a lot of work in K-12 all over the state. So at every school we participate what I call the shop program, which now it's STEM or metals, or they have some other fancy word for it. And we take those young students and we put them in the job trailer with us and do job shadowing. And we just give them a little exposure to the construction industry, because as Pete alluded to, college isn't necessarily for everybody, and I don't think what that generation understands is that you can spend 4 years in an apprenticeship program, come out at 22 and be making $70,000 to $75,000 with no debt. And once you start communicating that to some of these people where college isn't an option for them, they're like, I had no idea. We've got superintendents that never went to college that went to the College of Construction, literally, they're making 6 figures. It's unbelievable the amount of opportunities there are in a modern construction industry. So, if you know anybody, give names to Pete, because there is a shortage. We are filling that gap, but it's going to take probably 5 years in order for those kind of the high school age kids to kind of fill in. And like I said, the hard part is when the people retire at 58 or 59 or start collecting their pension, all of that knowledge tends to go with them. So we really need to get the kids in quick, they're not kids, young adults in quickly so that they can start replacing some of that lost knowledge.
And my young adult, my youngest young adult, becomes a journeyman today.
That's awesome.
Today is his last class. He went through the apprenticeship for the carpenters, and his last class is today, and tomorrow he becomes a journeyman. So I'm really excited to say that, I have a daughter-in-law that just graduated as a nurse, and my son graduated his 4-year degree through the training program that the carpenters gave him, and it's exciting. He's definitely come a long way.
And just the last point to that for some of you, I'm in my second career, and I drive an hour and a half to come see all you guys, because hands down, it's not just because Eric's here, despite what you might think, but this company, I could drive 20 minutes down the street and be at a like-sized construction company, and I choose to drive all this way to come down here for a company where I matter, and I think that's a big deal, especially in construction. So, and obviously we've got, interns and Olivia, myself, the inclusivity and their attention to really caring about who is working, not just, hey, get out there, go do it, and everything else. The values that Eric, Pete, Jordan, we all talk about are really, they mean it. And hopefully you guys can see that as well. And you can't always work for a place that necessarily can live out their values right in front of you. So just that last little push. So I'm trying to tell people too, and people are like, you drive that far? And I said, I do. Because when you get to be my age, right? I'd rather work somewhere good and be valued, and that's exactly what CGSchmidt is. So when you guys see me rolling in at 8 o'clock, it's not because I just rolled out of bed.
Thanks. All right. Any other questions? Well, yes, Fran.
I just wondered how the supply chain issue has affected this project.
So we have a great team. So I'm part of a team. Jordan's not here today, but obviously Carla and Olivia are all part of our team. We've got all of our subcontractors, there's our plumbers, electricians, our HVAC or heating and cooling group. We're all working together to not only build, but to procure or to achieve the ownership or to take possession of all the materials it's going to take to build this. We are very fortunate that we're working with a good group of subcontractors that have a lot of means in the community, and they have good relationships with the vendors that are selling the material we need to finish this project. That doesn't mean that magic happens. We still have to be diligent, and we log and then we track to make sure that they're on track. And sometimes we have to go as far as we have to go kind of above and beyond, and we have to ask for tracking numbers. If people say things that don't always happen, they say it's coming in a week, and 2 weeks go by. And we all know what happens, that Amazon package never showed up. We need everything because we want to give you a complete project. So it is part of our team effort here to continually, regularly monitor where the long lead time items, there's a couple big items that are very long lead time, months. And so right at the beginning of the project, we were aware that we needed to chase those items. And weekly, we look at where are they? Are they still being produced? Are they on track? So that's what we're doing. we're aware that it's a big issue worldwide, nationwide, and so we're trying to be as diligent as we can. We still need to give you a place, a nice new place, and we're going to find a way to do it.
And just a quick plug for Jordan, his planning skills are unbelievable. So he and Pete had the foresight to be like, let's get this chiller, which is what, 6 months? Takes 6 months to get the chiller for the water tower. We got that going already so that we can, so yes, it's exactly what Pete said, but I don't want him to sell himself short, and Jordan for not being here, but they have all been like, what's going on? And then Tyler back there, you want to wave, Tyler? He's been big, huge on a lot of our materials that are coming in. I think I saw him cringe when that question came.
One of the things that have changed since I've gotten into construction management leadership is the lead time for something as simple as doors. It used to be something you'd call up and you could get some doors. When we started hearing doors were going to be months and then more months, sometimes doors change. And then you really need to make sure you can get that door. So we've been very active at the very beginning of the project to make sure we can get doors, cabinets, light fixtures, some of which are made overseas. So we want to make sure that they're on the right boat and they're getting here. It's important that we know which ones we want so we can get them coming. So yeah, we're really following up with our subcontractors who may have items, and then we're responsible for some of the real big ones. We've been very actively making sure they're being built and they're coming here. So.
Any other questions? Well, as you can see, I mean, CGSchmidt has been an incredible partner through all of this. I mean, not only is it, these types of presentations, it's the constant communication that the team provides me that then I can hopefully provide to you. But also a lot of their values, that Eric represented, I think, really play well into who East Castle Place is and the type of resident that you are and that we want to work with. And so, again, credit to CGSchmidt. We obviously went through a process in order to select CGSchmidt with our board of directors, and they have not only stood behind what they presented, they have gone above and beyond what they presented. So again, I'm very excited. I know that it's been asking a lot of you and your patience, and I do appreciate the windows that were installed because I think that does minimize a few questions, and also then you can give your input. No, I just truly appreciate what CGSchmidt's been able to do so far, and just excited to continue to work along with them. Also want to give a special thank you to Eric for taking some time today out of his, I'm sure, very busy schedule to provide some background on CGSchmidt, because again, I think that goes into the product that they provide us. So with that, we'll wrap it up. So thank you, everybody.
Just want to say as a thank you, and on behalf of Eric, he doesn't even know this, but all the coffee that's in the fireplace room, please help yourself. We've got plenty. We'll be providing it throughout the duration of the project. We'll be bringing in some mugs.
You better hurry up this project.
Yeah. So not only
they go broke.
Not only do we provide the coffee in the club room, if you need coffee as you're waiting for your ride, we have a Keurig out there, and a lot of our employees have been taking that on. So Carla and CGSchmidt are sponsoring that for the duration of the project. So if you need a little different spice of life in your coffee, you can say thank you to CGSchmidt. I think Lila might even be
We
able to help
thought
you
that
out.
was just for the staff.
Oh, I mean, I guess now that Carla's opened it up to everyone, feel free. I guess we'll just add a 0 behind what they're providing. So that's fine. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You live in